For this video, I've removed all other forms of ads. Why was the phone wearing glasses? He lost his contacts. Hello, everybody. That one's actually an in-context joke because we've got pro player, King of North America, before us facing off against Alphastar. Before we get into the game, I'm going to do a little bit of a sponsor read, though, because the sponsors who cover Neeb and his Ting also cover Base Trade TV. Ting's a U.S. mobile phone service available in the United States only. They have no contracts, they've got great nationwide coverage, and it's a pay-for-what-you-use system. So if you don't use a lot, you won't pay a lot. And if you happen to be like me and you're on Wi-Fi all the time, this is the perfect plan for you. So consider going to bttv.ting.com. You'll not only get to check out Ting, but also a $25 credit off your first phone bill. But ladies and gentlemen, let's hop into the Alphastar cast. Spawning here at the bottom left side of the map, the man of the hour, it's Ting's own Neeb. And to the upper right side, we do have the Blue Terran, the suspected Terminator in disguise. It's Alphastar. Now look, I know some of you guys aren't super thrilled when I do sponsor reads, but here's my concession. For this video, I've removed all other forms of ads. There are no ads enabled for this video. I just hope that some of you who tune in from the United States will consider checking out Ting. I love the fact that Neeb has come so far in Starcraft 2. I don't need to sell you on him. He had a whole year of being the champion before Cyril uprooted it and stole his title and his legend. But even then, Neeb is still a very formidable player. Many players fear playing against him. And if I'm going to be honest, while I don't know the results of this game, I think an easy bet would be saying the pro probably wins over the AI. What I'm most interested in through this cast is more so seeing how this goes between the two. Does Neeb react differently? Does he pick up on the fact that it's Alphastar? Does Alphastar just go gung-ho with tanks, banshees, and marines as we've seen in many iterations? Who knows? But I should note this is from the more recent batch of Alphastar, so this isn't one of the really old ones. But on that note, doing my whole due diligence, look guys, control groups are on for Neeb. There are no control groups existing for this guy. Or gal, or machine. APM versus EPM. A lot more consistent for the Alphastar suspected player. A little bit more erratic for Neeb, who is actually microing like crazy against this Reaper. Sorry. He catches it anyway, so it doesn't really matter. This is actually a really great catch for Neeb. Now, I'm not sure what's gone on in this game. There's been a little bit of sloppy probe behavior. 2 probes pulled over here to build the cyber core. The gas is here right now. I am not one to criticize someone as great as Neeb, but I am one to sit here and go, is he taking this game super seriously, or is this like a ladder grind session? You're just like, I'm looking for points. I'm not really looking for Alphastar. I think it's got merit, though, that Neeb lives, for those who don't know, he's on the East Coast, I believe, when he's not living in Korea. And he plays to Europe quite often. In fact, one thing you'll learn about when you talk to a lot of the North American players and pros, and we've had them on for interviews on the channel, is that most of the people on the West Coast go to play in Korea for practice, and most of the people on the East Coast go to play in Europe for practice. So sadly, North America just doesn't really have the greatest, most vibrant scene, but all the players go elsewhere to practice. So Alphastar initially was only available in Europe. I'm unsure the details of if it comes to North America or when. Korea or whatever, but Neeb playing to Europe is not super out of the ordinary, and I just thought I'd bring that up because everyone knows Neeb to be Mr. USA. Very odd play out of Alphastar, though, because going off of what it has scouted, there's really nothing that's suspicious out of Neeb. Maybe you think the Robo is a little bit more aggressive than it would otherwise be, but I mean, 2 bunkers in this location don't make a lot of sense to me at a glance. My best assumption here is that the lack of a scout on the natural really affected whatever it is inside Alphastar's neural network that tells it defensive versus greed. I mean, at the moment, there's not really anything too terrible with having 2 bunkers like this, but this is Neeb scouting a Masters level player, sure to be confused as to why there are 2 bunkers in the main base so out of sorts and out of position. And I mean, if this was a blink attack, you would see them more over here. There's just so many questions raised by the way this has gone for Alphastar. But Neeb's got a lot of observers. One, of course, was just almost sniped on the other side of the field. It did get away. 2 more down to the south, 1 in the middle, 1 to the north. Or, excuse me, that's a probe. Taking the expansion to the north, pardon me. But looks like one of the bunkers was salvaged, still leaving one up for good measure, I suppose, but not so surprisingly, Banshees and tanks seem to be the call to order here for Alphastar. I will say, against the amateur side of things, more than the pro side of things, we've seen Alphastar make really good use of Banshees. And at the moment, the way Neeb's building, Banshees just may be the way to go. Tanks blocking the ramp's going to be a little awkward, but Colossus obviously can't shoot up. The Stalkers will have a hard time chasing things down. There's no shield batteries in the mineral lines, nor cannons. I just feel like there's potential here for the Banshee. We'll see if Neeb gets caught off guard by this. I feel like the answer is going to be yes, but only briefly. You know, you pull the probes away, you bring one of those observers home, you warp in a couple Stalkers. I don't think this Banshee should get that much done. But at the very least, it'll keep Neeb distracted from poking to the other side of the field. And this observer, by the way, has just been getting the weirdest scouting information. Everything it's seen here is not out of order in terms of like what buildings are in the field, but more like just out of place, because nobody really builds like this, and that bunker placement too on top of everything was just odd. But here comes the Banshee looking for a couple of kills. So grabs one probe to start. Colossus walking over. Not that that's going to help very much. Sentries would be a nice priority target on this one too. Guardian shield going up to help reduce some of that Banshee damage, but unfortunately she's still 2 shots the probes through it. This is actually a Today I Learned moment, because I've never seen this interaction before, ever. But for those who don't know, Guardian shield reduces the damage of all projectiles by about 2 or something like that. Yeah, exactly 2. So I guess the Banshee just has enough damage that the overkill is still going to kill the probes no matter what. Yeah, that would make sense actually, because it hits for 24 after 2 shots. That would still be 20-20. So interesting. Very interesting. Did not consider this interaction ever because it's never really done. But Neeb surprises me every time I see him play and win championships. So, you know, I'm not surprised, I guess, that he surprised me with a cool new fact here in this game. But the Banshee usage just kind of chills in the corner. I like the not dedication to the side of Alphastar. Kill 6 probes here, and then this single Banshee is going to force Neeb to leave like 2 or 3 Stalkers in the main pretty much at all given times. We have a push out of Alphastar coming too. This Marine tank push is actually kind of scary. Oh, it looks like this is actually on the old patch. Sorry, I was told this was one of the more recent replays. I was incorrect, but oh my god, Alphastar's pulling the boys! Alphastar is pulling the boys! I didn't even know Alphastar had it in it to pull the boys, but here she goes. And with all the SCVs pulled to the front line, this would normally be great if there was no area of effect damage, but with Colossus here to mow them down, this won't work out so well. But it's mass repairs on the tanks, which are funny. If able to bait a fight into the tank fire, I could see Alphastar maybe making a fight work, but Neeb's not going to take that bait. You can see he's just playing calm and cool with the Colossus. And with all these SCVs being pulled, I mean, this is kind of... it's the end game. It's all in one way or the other. Funny enough, some SCVs are still mining at home, and a third base is being taken. I don't know why you would take a third base whilst pulling the SCVs. Like, I know it's a neural network, and it's not like programming on-off switches, but I feel like for even Alphastar, what's the on switch that says pull the SCVs? Because nothing in this game made sense to pull the SCVs, in my honest opinion. Now, missile turrets are going down. I can kind of get behind this. It's not just detection and protection from observers, but it's also anti-air that can shoot the Colossus. So some free army supply, if you will. If those tanks ever get to properly siege up, though, Neeb will have a hard time taking a fight. But every time these tanks siege up, Neeb very goes out of his way to dodge it. I had another word there. I totally forgot it. Whatever. Deal with it, guys. I'm not going to re-record an 8-minute video because I forgot one word. But the tank set up. More missile turrets coming down. Here come those Banshees again. I love the Banshees for this. Free firing on top of the Colossus takes it down to about, 3/4 health. But the shield battery's going to top it up. Now shield battery's out of juice. Where are the observers Neeb? Because, your Stalkers should be killing these Banshees. There we go. Brings it from the top side. Tank line set up pretty well as expected. Zealot's getting into the fight now, too. I wonder for Neeb, if instead of Zealot charge, he gets phone charge. That's a twofer. You got 2 dad jokes in one game. Both centered around Ting and phones, and I'm nailing it! I'm no longer a caster, but a carpenter. Ooh, that's a triple threat! Okay, bad jokes aside, though, this tank push is proving to be a lot more threatening than I expected it to be. Maybe even more expected than Neeb thought it to be. But he's kept it calm and collected. Like, these Colossus haven't rushed into the battle. He's got his forces split a little bit, which looks like it might suck, but it actually protects the third base while this goes on. Well, all these tanks are really ridiculous. At some point, you could... the Colossus just disappeared. What the... Ghosts? I mean, Immortals could come into play, a Warp Prism too. There's a lot of what-ifs for this, but all of this revolves around like getting rid of the Marines first, so keeping it calm and cool. Maybe panicking a little bit now as the Nexus starts being under fire, but these Marines are now segmented away from the tank, which means this is the perfect opportunity for this Colossus to get in there and roast up some Marines. 11 kills on one Colossus, 3 on the other. Nothing too crazy. Back attack starts coming in, slow and steady, starts clearing out those turrets. This is, of course, the army from the third base that's moseyed around. Nexus to the Natural might go down, but I think at Neeb's point, too, he's also realized, like, wait a minute. He pulled the workers. Like, at any rate, I could lose this Nexus, and I'm going to be fine because he pulled the workers. But, of course, for Neeb, he doesn't know it's secretly Alphastar, or that Alphastar is pretty much basically a she, at least for the sake of our thumbnails. But regardless, he's gone for a bit of a counterattack now and pushing Alphastar's natural base. All the defenses that were rallied were getting cut off, so there's a lot of tanks and Marines situated outside Neeb's base, but I don't think there's a damn thing that Alphastar can do to stop the attack at home. There's even an observer here, so the Banshee can't solo the army. If the tank, okay, hypothetically, if the tank killed enough, oh, it's gonna recall back to the third. But wait, pushing to the third means the forces get split. Alphastar perhaps making a bit of an overestimation in their strength, because yeah, everything here gets crushed. Zealots, Colossus, clean up the tanks, the Marines, all those SCVs that were pulled earlier have died. And meanwhile, gates are wide open for that counterattack because, as we saw, there was not much of anything left at home to defend for Alphastar. I mean, granted, it's impressive that they got a third base and there wasn't much harassment from Neeb because he felt so pressured. And they on that basis, I really like the idea of what Alphastar did this game. Like, the idea of keeping the Protoss pressured so that it can continue to expand at home is like the basics of like the way you play Starcraft 2. At least nowadays. But unfortunately, perhaps getting a little too overeager, overestimating its strength. Regardless, Neeb now pushing in and looking for blood or oil. Either way, neurons are scattered, SCVs are dying. This Banshee trying her hardest to do something, but there's so many Colossus that even the Colossus don't fear the siege tanks at this point. They deal almost no damage to a siege tank, but there's just so many of them firing. It really doesn't matter. There was 2 Banshees trying to counterattack with this one on too. Those look like they've been picked off and cleaned up at the third base. Missile turrets firing top of Colossus are always funny to see. Almost gets a kill. Banshee should get that killing blow. Nice. But I mean, the Zealots are too much. This 2 bases gone. Command centers lifted. Utter absolute panic. all the buildings being lifted. Oh my god. Was Alphastar programmed with the ability to float to the corners of the map and then just like type rude messages for the next 30 minutes? Is that an Alphastar thing that it can do? I'm going to imagine not. I would imagine the Deepmind team did not program BM into Alphastar. But buildings floating, it's awkward, it's funny, but it's definitely game over. GG. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to subscribe, make sure to hit that like button, leave me a comment down below, and be sure, of course, to check out our sponsors, Ting. One more time, bttv.ting.com. See you guys on the next video.